It began like any ordinary evening in the Langston mansion. Chandeliers glowing, laughter echoing, and power on full display. Ethan Langston Jr., heir to the billion-dollar Langston empire, sat surrounded by guests who toasted to his success and whispered about his arrogance. In the midst of the luxury, Ava Brooks, a quiet black maid in her late 20s, moved silently through the marble hall, polishing silver and refilling glasses. Her eyes carried humility, but also quiet intelligence. Then came the cruelty. As the night drew on and the guests grew drunker, Ethan decided to make a spectacle. He smirked and said loudly enough for all to hear, "Ava, why don't you show everyone how obedient help should be? Crawl like the maid you are." Laughter erupted. Ava froze, humiliation burning her throat. But she didn't move, she didn't give him that power. Ethan sneered, leaning closer. "You heard me." The room fell silent. Slowly, Ava lowered her head. Her knees touched the cold marble, her dignity breaking piece by piece. The guests looked away. And yet her eyes burned with fire, quiet, vengeful, unbroken. That night, in the privacy of her quarters, Ava cried silently. But as the tears fell, her resolve hardened. "This isn't the end," she whispered. "This is the beginning. Because sometimes humiliation isn't defeat. It's the spark that lights a revolution." Morning sunlight spilled across the marble floors of Langston Tower, but for Ava Brooks, it wasn't a new day. It was Judgment Day. The flash drive she had stolen sat hidden in her apron pocket, holding proof strong enough to shatter an empire. By noon, she had slipped the files to an anonymous contact at the New York Financial Crimes Division. Hours later, the quiet hum of Manhattan broke with the sound of screeching tires. Black SUVs swarmed the street. Agents in dark suits poured through the revolving glass doors of Langston Tower. Inside the penthouse, Ethan Langston Jr. lounged on a velvet sofa, laughing with reporters about his philanthropic efforts. The laughter died when the elevator dinged and a stern voice announced, "Federal Bureau of Investigation." Nobody moved. Cameras turned. Agents spread out. Ethan's smile cracked as one officer dropped a warrant on the table, signed and sealed. "Ethan Langston Jr., you're under arrest for money laundering, securities fraud, and tax evasion." The color drained from his face. "There's been a mistake," he stammered. "I own this building." A voice rose from the back, calm, steady, familiar. "Not anymore." Ava stepped forward, dressed in her uniform, eyes cold but unshaken. "You used to make people crawl," she said softly. "Now you'll learn to stand in the truth." As Ethan was led away in handcuffs, Ava whispered to herself, "Justice doesn't shout. It arrives quietly and leaves echoes forever." Rain poured over the city like judgment as Ava Brooks stood before the rusted gates of the Langston warehouse, clutching a black envelope that had arrived at her doorstep with no return address. Inside it, a single gold key and a note written in cold, deliberate ink. "The truth lies where the money sleeps." The FBI raid may have ended the Langston reign, but Ava knew the empire's roots ran deeper. Inside the dark warehouse, the air was thick with dust and secrets. She moved cautiously, flashlight in hand, until it landed on a steel vault built into the wall, the kind meant to hold more than money. Her hands trembled as the golden key clicked into place. The vault opened with a metallic groan. Inside were ledgers, hard drives, and files marked confidential, Project LUX. As she flipped through the papers, her heart pounded. The documents revealed hidden offshore accounts, stolen patents, and silenced inventors, brilliant black and immigrant creators whose innovations had been buried to keep the Langston fortune alive. Moments later, headlights flooded the warehouse. Miranda Langston, Ethan's sister, stepped out of a black car, flanked by lawyers. "You should have stayed quiet, Maid," she hissed. Ava lifted her phone. "Too late," she said. "The truth's already uploaded." Sirens wailed in the distance as Miranda's face fell. Ava turned away, the rain glistening on her skin, walking toward the city lights. Because justice doesn't beg. It builds. And once it starts, nothing, not power, not privilege, can stop it. If you believe truth will always find its voice, hit subscribe and join True Crime Files TV. Every week, we reveal the hidden battles between power and conscience, where silence ends and justice begins.